Black Beast owner Howard Kroplick and his mechanic Sam Greco recently shared the images and the film they captured from their experience at the Indy 500, bringing the Black Beast back for a Centennial lap at that race. In 1911, the Black Beast was originally favored to win the race, but it broke a bearing on the 52nd lap, finishing in 33rd place. This archival footage of the very first race shows the 40 cars that ran in it. The ultimate winner of the race was the 1911 Marmon Wasp.
Black Beast, after 100 years, finally came in first at Indy 500. It was a wonderful experience. We got on the Indy track at 8:30 in the morning. We were there for 3 hours, just about a half an hour before the actual race was run. And from about 8:30 till about, I think, 10 o'clock, we were just posing with the other cars. We were meeting some of the drivers of the previous winners of the Indy 500. And we were just soaking it in. I think the word I kept using, how cool is this? I just kept repeating it. It was great. And that was even before the parade lap. About 5 minutes before we had the parade lap, Emerson Fittipaldi showed up. Sam Greco, my master mechanic, gave him a couple of instructions of how to drive the car. I think it lasted all of 30 seconds, but he picked it up right away. And he was just enthusiastic. He was excited about driving the car. He had great humor. I remember telling him, I said, you know, there's 7 cars scheduled to run the parade lap. He said, they think it's a parade lap, but Emerson, this is a race for me. He says, we're gonna see what this car can do. And he got very excited about that, that we would be really going at speed on the Indy 500. 100 years after this car competed in the first Indy 500. So we were the second car scheduled to go out. The Marmon, the 1911 Marmon that won the 1911 race, was the first car out, and they had trouble starting the car, and they were pushing the car out. I think they finally got it going, and about a minute later they told us to go. And Sam started up the car. It ran perfectly. And it hesitated for a second, and I said, uh-oh, why aren't we going forward? And then I noticed that Emerson had not released the handbrake. I said, Emerson, the handbrake, quick! And he released the brake, and the car just zoomed out, and we were off and running. But right within 500 yards of the start, we saw that the Marmon had stalled out. And so we were very respectful. We were right behind the Marmon. And we were waiting patiently to see if they could get it started. And then one of the race coordinator came up to us and said, guys, I want you to take the lead. Where my immediate response was, I've been waiting 100 years to hear that. And sure enough, we took off, we passed the Marmon, and we were off and running for a 2.5 mile lap. I'd say there was about 100,000 fans in the stands. This was about 2 hours before the race. And we have the lap camera. We had 2 lap cameras. One I held in my hand, and one was right off the front right wheel. And it really captured some of the speed, captured the excitement, and it captured my excitement. I think throughout the race, all you hear me going is woo, 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 and that is just pure joy of the event. I was happy that the car was running. I was happy that we were on the Indy track. And just to see all the fans waving as we were going around, it got very exciting, and it was just pure excitement, pure joy. And Emerson Fittipaldi, he just had a big smile on his face. And as we were making the last turn, he says to me, can we go into 3rd gear? We were going about 50 miles per hour. And I said, yeah, let's see what this car can do. We go into 3rd gear, and we start going down the straightaway, and we hit 68 miles per hour, which is the fastest I've ever been in this car. And as we passed the traditional 1 yard of bricks there, we were going 68 miles per hour on the Indy track.
Woo! 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 We won! We won! 100 years it took, we won! Woo! That was great! That was fantastic.
So we finish our lap, we pull into the side. Again, I'm as excited as can be. Emerson Fittipaldi has a big smile on his face, and all of a sudden the press and the other drivers come to greet us, and a gentleman comes over and congratulates Emerson Fittipaldi, congratulates me, and I look up and it's Mario Andretti. And so I have a moment where I said, I must be dreaming. This can't be true. We just did a lap at the Indy 500, driven by a two-time winner, Emerson Fittipaldi, and congratulated by Mario Andretti. So that was our experience at Indy this year. All historical cars. There were about 4 cars that ran in the first race in 1911. And there was also the Blitzen Benz, which set a land speed record that year at Daytona. And all those cars, I think we had about 7 cars ultimately ran parade laps, and 3 of them made it through the whole lap. But interesting, they did treat it like a parade lap. I think they averaged 20 miles per hour, and we were zooming at 50 miles. We considered it a race, and since we were the first car out there to clear the field, we just went as fast as we could, where we didn't. Interestingly, Emerson Fittipaldi did bring it a little close to the walls a couple of times, so he was treating it like he would be running a regular Indy race, so it was pretty intriguing. I've been to the Indianapolis track on business trips, but I have never been there for an Indy 500 race, so it was, you know, we really had tremendous insight into, we were there like 6 days ahead of the race, so we got to see how the race was coming together, what kind of preparation was necessary. We were in the garages and the pits. We had access. We had access to the Hall of Fame museum basement, which was absolutely amazing. They only let special guests go in there. That's where our car was stored for the first couple of days. They have like 50 cars that belong to the Indy 500 track. Duesenbergs, Cords, Reeves, they had the Shah Iran's Mercedes limousine, so cars that you never see over there. So that in itself was quite an experience. One of the interesting things was the challenge just to get to the track. You got 300,000 people, the race starts at noon. What we didn't realize is that easily 150,000 of them start at 5 o'clock in the morning. So we almost didn't make it to the track. We were stuck in 3 miles worth of 3 miles long of traffic, and fortunately we were saved by a policeman on a motorcycle who escorted us in, so we were able to make the parade lap. We worked easily 3, maybe 4 months on the car getting ready for this day, and Sam Greco, I call you my master mechanic, really put the car together in great working condition, and I don't think the car ever ran any better than the day it ran at Indy. So we geared it up for this day, and it was successful, and Sam deserves a lot of credit.
As a race car fan and historian, Kroplick wanted to mark the moment with a special tribute to Harry Grant, the original driver of the Black Beast.
For the first Indy 500 race, prior to the race, they had all the drivers and the mechanicians line up at the starting line, and because Harry Grant, who was the driver of the Alco Black Beast, was the favorite to win the race, he was exactly in the middle wearing his Alco sweater. And so what I did in honor of Harry Grant and his mechanician, frankly, we went to the starting area again. I was wearing my Alco sweater, and I posed exactly where he was standing 100 years later. The actual parade lap was not telecast on the ABC pre-race ceremony broadcast, but they did expose the car. It was one of the first things you saw when the pre-race ceremony started by ABC. They focused on the car, and we were right behind Brent Musburger as he was describing the introduction to the race.
For more information, you can check out VanderbiltCupRaces.com. Chris Collora reporting.